Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Welcome to this Friday night debate here at Focus on Liberia. I'm Anson Sincere, co-hosting with my partner Dennis Jai, and as always, we are broadcasting from our headquarters in Atlanta. You heard me. It is a debate, and it is a debate between two outstanding Liberians on two critical issues that we have brought them into debate so that Liberians can have the opportunity to get clear understanding on these issues. We understand border on conflict of interest. I will turn things over to my buddy Dennis Jai to tell us about the rules for this debate. Stay tuned.
It is often stated there is no swimming argument at the waterside, so there is no need two people standing at the mouth of the river arguing on who can swim better. All you need to do is jump in. So we have Attorney Garmondeh Clinton and Maurice Perfect Manager Kromah. They are here at the waterside, and we just have to jump in and swim. So in our debate tonight, we're going to have, first of all, we have a rubric here. There are certain things that we are looking for. Number one, respect for the opponent. Number two, information, the information you provide, your rebuttals. And when we say your rebuttal, your counter arguments should be accurate, relevant, and strong. Your respect for opponent, by that we mean all statement, your body language, your responses should be respectful and in appropriate language. You should present the right kind of information, thorough and within the allotted time, and that is 2 minutes. Your use of facts and statistics. Every major point is supported with several relevant facts, statistics, and examples. You should be organized. Organize what you are telling us. All arguments should be clearly tied together, organized in a tight and logical fashion. Last but not the least, your understanding of the topic. We want you to demonstrate to us that you clearly understood the topic in depth and you present your information forcefully and convincingly. And those are the things we're going to be looking for. And we're going to have time. We're going to format this debate in a way that each of you have time to talk. No interruptions. We'll have time to ask questions. You will have time to ask each other questions. And we'll bring in our viewers to also ask questions. The topic we are discussing is right there in the ticker. President Weah has a scholarship scheme or scholarship program, and that program is headed by the Presidential Affairs Minister, Minister Nathaniel McGill. We also have government officials, current government officials, having their private businesses. We're going to discuss that too in segment 2. And so, without further ado, we want to present the two in the debate tonight. That's Attorney Garmondeh Clinton. Mr. Garmondeh, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Just 30 seconds to greet our audience.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back on Focus on Liberia. The last time I was here was prior to elections between Thomas Fala and April and Darius Dillon. We had a great discussion then. I'm looking forward to another fruitful one tonight.
Thank you so much. Next is Maurice Perfect Manager Kromah. Maurice, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and thank you, Anthony, for the opportunity to share this great platform with my good friend Garmondeh. We've interacted several times on national issues, so this is no strange terrain for either of us. I'm looking forward to the conversation, and I'm hoping that people out there can enjoy discussion. So future discussions can be tailored towards policy and not just personal interest.
Thank you. Back to you, Mr. C.
Dennis, thank you, folks, joining us across the world. We want to say welcome to this debate night here at Focus on Liberia, the only Liberian media platform that I know that hosts debate, and that is what we pride ourselves about, that we do it there here. Welcome, share the show, let Liberians have the opportunity to see what an intellectual exchange is supposed to be. We heard names, we heard insults. That is not Liberia. If that is your Liberia, I reject that. This is the Liberia that want all of us to be proud of. Let's have a discussion on the issues that confront us as a people, but we should do it civilly and with respect. We will now bring in our debaters. Dennis, first, let's introduce the issues again. In this first segment of the debate, gentlemen, we will be talking about the scholarship program that President Weah has his fingerprint on and is being spearheaded or chaired by Nathaniel McGill, the Minister of Presidential Affairs. Our understanding, according to Mr. McGill himself, they solicit fundings from business people in Liberia. That is the issue we want to discuss. What are the ethical issues surrounding that? What are the moral issues surrounding that? Could that be something that may indirectly have some influence on government, giving some favors to these these businesses, since they are getting money from them to carry on their scholarship program? These are the issues we want to get clear, and who we better have than the two outstanding individuals who are divided on the issues. So let's get started, Dennis.
To get started, we will on these issues we have the pro and the con. So with a coin toss, Garmondeh will be going first on the issue President Weah Scholarship Program headed by Presidential Affairs Minister Nathaniel McGill. What's your take on this issue? And that will be your open argument.
Thank you very much, Dennis. The scholarship program that has been initiated by the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs does not violate any law or policy within the Republic of Liberia.
Hold on 1 minute, and I'm stopping the clock now. Mr. Kromah, are you having some issues hearing? Say something, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can hear him. We are not hearing him.
We are not hearing you. No, we can't hear you.
I think the headphone the battery was dead. That's why. But let's go ahead.
All right, now we're hearing you. So again, let me restart the clock. Mr. Garmondeh Clinton, you have for your opening argument, you have 3 minutes, and this will be the only time you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, sir.
The scholarship program that has been initiated by the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs does not violate any laws of the Republic of Liberia. There's absolutely no violation. There's no national policy guidelines against it. As a matter of fact, public officials are on an obligation to help the government in whatever ways they can to buttress the efforts of the government. This is exactly what the Minister of State acting on directive of the president has been doing to help thousands of students across the country who are facing economic hard times. And you were here tonight, Mr. Kromah, argued that this violates the code of conduct for public officials. I will debunk that, and I will prove that there is nowhere in the code of conduct for public officials that prohibit public officials from using their public offices to pursue such an interest in so much as they don't violate, go against the public interest. In this case, with the scholarship, absolutely not. It's done for the public good. It needs no personal benefit to the Minister of State or the President of the Republic of Liberia. And so this is squarely to benefit thousands of Liberian students out there. Again, there is absolutely no legal basis. There is absolutely nowhere in our laws or any policy that prohibit any public official from embarking on such an undertaking.
Thank you. And Mr. Garmondeh, if you can adjust your camera a little bit so we can see more of your body. Thank you.
Better?
Yes, that is better.
At this time, we're going to go to Mr. Kromah for his opening argument. Morris.
You are muted, Mr. Kromah. Please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Thank you very much again for the opportunity. I am super excited about this discussion, and I'm happy that Garmondeh took the lead to say that there is no violation. I want to start with laying out some of my premise on some serious, basic, fundamental issues. First, there is a social contract between the citizens, the people, and the government, those that govern them. That social contract allow people, the citizens, and people that live in the country to pay taxes to the state, and those taxes are revenue that are collected by government, because government is not in the business of making profit. Government is not a private institution. So basically they collect taxes from citizens and from institutions, businesses, for the purpose of providing social services to the citizens. So that social service include part of that social service include education. And so when that social contract that is between both parties, the citizens and the government, is supposed to allow the state to provide education to Liberians, including people that are disadvantaged. So if the social contract is not in that, okay, so the revenue collection is supposed to be part of budget development. That budget development is supposed to target education. Then education go directly to communities where people are disadvantaged and they benefit from it. Unfortunately, this process that Minister McGill has started did not go through any of that theory of how government and people interact. So they violated that whole theory of social contract between the people and the state or the government, whatever you want to call it. The second argument I want to present here is that if the minister or the president office, that Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, is one of the most powerful office in the country. So the office by itself is so powerful that it draws attention from outside. So we have businesses, private and public businesses, they engage with those people. So when Minister McGill goes to the street and tell a businessman, say, we are starting a scholarship scheme, it's technically not a scholarship scheme, it's a social education program for disadvantaged people, because scholarship is for scholars. Unfortunately, they call it a scholarship scheme. But ideally, if Minister McGill goes to a businessman and say, we want to put people in school, and so we want you to help them. Technically, if I'm a businessman, I would provide the help, because in return, I expect to get something back in return somehow. When I do Mr. McGill a favor, Minister McGill return that favor somehow in the future. It so happens that Minister McGill, in his interview, said that Mita Steel is one of those institutions that have supported him, and they are his friends. But honestly, if you take Minister McGill out of the office of the Ministry of State, he would not have a friend in Mita Steel, because Mita Steel ideally is supposed to do business with government and not just individuals. So Minister McGill is using the office and not just not him as a person.
Thank you, Mr. Clinton. Your rebuttal.
Well, Mr. Kromah made a number of comments. I want to start with his social contract theory. Unfortunately, the government does not operate on the basis of a social contract theory. It operates on the laws of the Republic of Liberia, and there is nothing under the laws of the Republic of Liberia that prohibits government officials from engaging in these kind of endeavors, so long as they are doing it for the public good. Specifically, I reference 9.6 of the Code of Conduct. 9.6 of the Code of Conduct says that public officials cannot use their official capacity for private interest if that is going to result in conflict of interest. So they can use it for private, their offices for private interest, but that must not go against the public interest. What does a scholarship scheme do? This scholarship scheme is meant to help thousands of students out there who have no access to tuition. Look back how this scholarship scheme came to be. The minister holds a meeting with students and parents and local county authorities and say, look, we are having this issue with not being able to pay our children's school fees. The minister then goes back and said, look, let's lobby with private companies. Let's lobby with individuals who are able to donate to this effort. That is not against the public interest. In fact, it is for the public interest. So there is no violation of the Code of Conduct. He also said that this is not a scholarship scheme. Come on, this is a scholarship scheme. As the scholarship, there is not a single definition for what a scholarship. Scholarship is any kind of payment or any kind of grant that is given to students to pay for tuition. So this is a scholarship scheme. He also said that Minister McGill said that his friends, and he said Minister McGill did not say Minister with his friends. He said that some of this funding comes from some of his friends. If you look through some of the newspaper articles, you will see they're friends of McGill. There's a group called Friends of McGill that donated to this scholarship scheme. There's also people, Minister also said there are people in the diaspora who also contributed. Those were the friends that the minister was referring to. So again, there is absolutely nothing prohibiting ministers of government from engaging this scholarship scheme.
Thank you. Morris.
Yeah. So the one thing I would characterize this statement by my friend Garmondeh about providing social services to the citizens because they need it is what Paula Ferreira called false generosity. So you take a concept and you apply it because you want to deal with the symptom and not the problem. My friend Garmondeh is telling me that social contract does not exist because it is not within the bailiwick of the law of the state. I found it comical because government concept is around how you call it, it's around social contract. There's no way we can even debate that thing. It shouldn't be up for debate because there's a concept. The concept is you are the government, you collect money from me, it means you must provide security for me, you provide some sort of education, justice, whatever, access to justice, those kinds of things. So when crisis come, we run to you so that you can sit down and tell me, Mama, you right, Mama, you wrong, you not wrong, this is what we're going to do to you. Those are within the concept of what this, the social contract is. But I'm not going to deal too much into that. He quotes the how you call it, the code of conduct. The quotation he just quoted, I'm not even going to go into the debate about what I want to present in that code of conduct. His quote defeat his argument by itself because the minister of state is not using the office of minister of state to do something that is within his defined role as minister of state. He's actually targeting education, and education is a statutory mandate of a set institution in Liberia, the Ministry of Education, not the Ministry of State. So why is Garmondeh quoting the code of conduct, but relaying it back to the Ministry of State? The Ministry of State does not do anything with education. The Minister of State is the most powerful office besides the presidency because you're managing the president. But because, and like Tiawan Gongolo said in one of his argument, he said you can't take a 100-pound bag of rice and put it on a 10-year-old boy. He's not going to be able to carry it, right? And I assume that some of the function are being confused between these people so much that they're not able to manage the office of the presidency. So you take on a scholarship scheme when the Ministry of Education will be doing it. How come this whole scholarship scheme was not factored into the national plan that was developed 4 years ago when President Weah got elected? That's how you plan and you execute, so you can be able to follow on the outcomes of those interventions.
Thank you. At this time, we want to see questions and answers between the both of you. If you have any, I know you're going to come back and Garmondeh is going to come again, but do you have any question for Mr. Clinton?
Ooh.
Yeah,
my first question to you, Garmondeh, is this scholarship scheme a government intervention or it is a private venture by Minister McGill?
It is not, and the minister was very clear when he appeared on the sponsor that this is not a government intervention. This is an intervention undertaken by the office of the minister to buttress the effort of the government. The funding is not the government. It is the minister's effort. So this is not a government undertaking. Does that answer your question?
Any follow-up before we go to Garmondeh for his question?
So, I mean, though you've said that it is not the government intervention, I saw in the government report about the same scholarship scheme reported by the Ministry of Information on what the government has done, and I wanted to quote that to you so that you can hear it. Just give me 1 minute, please. Let me quote that because it's interesting that you're saying that it is Minister McGill private intervention. Or you can go ahead and ask a question. Let me find it and I'll read it to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. At this time, we go to Mr. Clinton for your question to Mr. Kromah.
Mr. Kromah, what is the legal wrong that the minister has done by undertaking this scholarship form?
Thank you very much for the question. That's a very good question. So besides the fact that I pointed out, the whole, social contract that the minister did not follow, in section 9.1 of the Code of Conduct, it reads, public officials and employees of government shall not receive nor encourage the giving of any form of bribe or casual gift, underline, casual gift, in connection with the performance of his or her official duties, whether for himself or herself or members of his or her family, or any other benefit that could have any influence on his or her professional approach to issues and the discharge of his or her official duties. So Mr. McGill is quote unquote receiving casual gift from his quote unquote friends for a scheme that is targeted towards providing, this sudden intervention in education. Something that is not featured in any of the intervention that is laid out by the Propo agenda, the PAPB. It is a foreign intervention that came from somewhere, and now Minister McGill is carrying it out in targeted counties. Look at the counties Minister McGill is having these interventions in. Lima County, Bon County, Grand Bassa County. Those are targeted counties. Magibi. They are targeted, so you can tell that it's pay for play, because he's not thinking about Bombay County, not thinking about Cape Mark County, not Bapolu County, because those are smaller counties. He's not thinking about the Southeast. Southeast is already our stronghold. We not worry about the Southeast. What we worry about is where we can get votes from now. So let's give some kind of opportunity to these young people. So by the time elections come around next year, hoping that they will appreciate the work that we did for them and give us back something in return. And that is what Paula Ferreira called false
generosity.
Word
you said false generosity the last time.
False generosity. Thank you. False generosity.
All right. Before I go, I want to show that part of the code of conduct that you quoted.
Yeah, 9.1.
And that is under bribes and gifts, right? So my question to you is, the minister is receiving money to put in the scholarship scheme or the scholarship program. How is that a casual gift?
One, it's easier to know is the minister is collecting money that is not accounted for. It is not factored in the budget, so you do not know how much money that is being collected. Two, it is not going through any kind of formal procurement process, so you do not know what the transparency around it is. So it's difficult to tell. So if the minister says that he's collecting this money to provide scholarship opportunity, it is a collection that is informal. He's using the office to carry out an informal process that nobody can account for. We don't know anything he tells us. That's why we go by. When he say Mitasti give me money, we accept Mitasti as his official statement. There's no way anybody can go there and say, let's audit this amount of money that you collected. Even when he leaves office, there's no way we can go and audit it, because it is not any kind of formal process that can be checked for accountability purposes.
And Mr. Garmondeh, before I bring Ansoni in, are you telling me that whatever is there anything else that is wrong with this scholarship program besides the legality?
There is absolutely nothing wrong, and let us correct something. Morris just quoted 9.1 of the Code of Conduct, and there's two things he's missing. One, it says that the public officials should not receive bribes, and the second thing, it talks about gifts. None of these apply to the scholarship scheme. The minister is not receiving any money from any of the donors. The monies have been paid to an account managed by local counties committee. The minister does not have any access to that money. He does not have any oversight over that money. That has been managed solely by a committee that has been constituted. So you cannot find a violation under the code of conduct. The gift must be received by the individual. The bribe must be received by the individual. You don't have the same situation yet. Mr. McGill is not receiving any gifts from anybody. What he's doing under the circumstances is saying, in his capacity as the Minister of State and using his office to reach out to companies, to private individuals and say, look, our people need this. Can he help? That's all he's doing. He is not receiving any money. So you cannot quote 9.1 of the Code of Conduct to say he's receiving gifts when he have not received any gifts. It's being paid directly to the local county committees where the minister have no oversight. They manage the money. They say they set up the criteria of how on who's going to get a scholarship money. The minister's only role is to use his influence to get the money.
Thank you, Mr. Sear.
Thank you, Dennis. And my question will go to Attorney Garmondeh Clayton. Again, thank you for coming. My first question is, can you say it for the record whether or not Mr. Nathaniel McGill is engaged in any activity related to education with this scholarship program? Is he engaged in anything related to education?
I want you to be a little more specific. Does he have a school? Does he have his private scholarship foundation? Is that what you're alluding to?
Is Mr. McGill doing anything to promote, to help, to have to do anything with education with this scholarship program? Is he doing engaging anything whatsoever related to education?
Yes, the Minister of State have said that, and he said that when he had this one interview, that as the Minister of State, he's been able to reach out to private interests to contribute to the scholarship scheme.
All right, thank you. That's what that answers my question. You said he is engaged. So let me quote for you Article 90 of the Liberian Constitution. And it reads, no person, whether elected or appointed to any public office, shall engage in any other activity which shall be against public policy or constitute conflict of interest.
Right.
With that, maybe I should read the other one, which is B. No person holding office shall demand or receive any other perquisites, emoluments, thank you, emoluments or benefits directly or indirectly on account of any duty required by government. Now, Mr. McGill is at the Ministry of Presidential Affairs. Does the Ministry of State have anything to do with education? Is that the statutory responsibility of the Minister of Presidential Affairs?
The office of the Minister of State is responsible for coordinating the affairs of the presidency.
Mm-hmm.
The presidency is the fulcrum of the executive branch of government. It's the center of the executive branch of government.
Mm-hmm.
Every agency of government derives its function from that of the presidency. So, like I said on last show, every agency, executive agency of government is an extension of the office of the president. So yes, the president, the office of the president is involved with everything because that's the executive power that the Constitution vests within the president. So education, health, everything that is executive falls within the ambit of the presidency.
What is the name? Hold on. What is the name of this scholarship program?
Mr. Sear, hold on, because I want to follow up on what you just asked.
Okay.
You are saying all the ministries are extensions of the president's office.
Right.
And that's why when it is education, that extension is education ministry. When it's agriculture, that extension is Are you saying the president has the right to take health matters and send it to the Internal Affairs Ministry because it's an extension of the Internal Affairs? It's
Presidential Affairs.
Extension of the office of the president. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I'm not saying that. I didn't say the president can take the function of health and Senate. I'm saying the president has oversight.
Right,
The
I agree.
president has oversight. That's an extension of his office. Now, what the president can do, the president may not be able to take say all health matters go to internal affairs, but the president can remove the health minister, for instance, who works
Exactly.
at the pleasure of the president and
No,
replace him.
here's the
Because
context.
that's the prerogative of the president.
No, the context I'm speaking is he's taking the scholarship program, which is purely education, right?
Mhm.
And give it to presidential affairs. Is that right?
No, but let's set the basis here, right? This is not a government's program, right? This is not.
You
This
are
is not.
separating the dance from the dancer.
No,
This is not. But let me land. Let me land.
So
Let me
it is,
land.
Hold on, Morris. Hold on, Morris.
Let me land. Let me land.
Mhm.
This is not a government's program. And even if this was a government program, the president can, and I've seen this in my experience working with the Ministry of State, the president can ask his minister to intervene, right? In different ministry of agencies to go in there and intervene. There's nothing wrong with that because that's the president's function. All these executive agencies operate under him. But let's come back to the scholarship scheme.
No, you are
It
saying
is
the president can ask the health minister to go and intervene in NSA on NSA matter. So define that intervention you're talking about.
I am saying that executive agency are an extension of the office of the president.
I agree.
Right? The president can send anybody in there who he so desires to go in there and do and carry out his mandate. Of course, he can do that. Of course, he will be breaking no laws if he does that.
Garmondeh.
so
What is the name of
Right?
that
But
scholarship
this
scheme?
has nothing to do. I mean, this is a whole lot another discussion that we can talk about.
Can I-
This has to talk about the executive, the president, and his executive.
can I say something, Dennis?
Go ahead, Morris.
So, and this is why I started my conversation with the social contract, because the social contract is an organized concept of how government should operate. And my man, Garmondeh, give me a chance.
Hold on.
I give you a chance, Chief. Give me a chance. My man Garmondeh here is developing a a president that has absolute authority to do anything that he pleases because he's the president. And that is not what government is supposed to look like. That is not what a functioning, well-oiled government is supposed to look like. The Minister of State, that's true, is supposed to coordinate the office of the president. That is fact. However, you cannot use that coordination of the president of the office to just launch a scholarship. And you said is his private initiative. It's not government function, right? Here is a release from the Ministry of Information that I want to read. Just the one paragraph that says, in October, President Weah, Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Nathaniel Fallow McGill, launched on behalf of the president a national secondary school scholarship drive. Students from Margibi, Bong, Grand Bassa County have already benefited from the initiative. So which is it? Is the president and the Minister of State organizing this scholarship scheme outside of the national plan, or is it a private initiative carried out by Minister McGill? I'll wait for you to respond to that.
But I've answered that question already. I said that this was an initiative, and the minister himself said that this was an initiative outside of the government.
So the Minister of Information is lying to us. Then the Minister of Information is lying to us.
I have not read the press release, Maurice. I have not seen that press statement. I'm telling you information I'm privy to, information I've heard the minister repeat and repeated it live on Spoon Talk. So I'm not going to speak to a press release that you're reading that I haven't read, right? Or where that information is coming from. What I'm saying is what the minister have said, that it's a private initiative. And this is not overall in any way taking away any function. And this is what we keep missing this whole thing. This is not in any way taking any function of the Ministry of Education. And I wanted, how is this taking away the function of the Ministry of Education?
You want me to answer that? I can answer it for you.
I want you to answer that, and I have a follow-up question if you answer that.
No problem. So the reason why it takes away from the Ministry of Education is that when you develop these plans, these medium and long-term development plans, the goal is to be able to capture the progress of the plan that you're implementing. If the Ministry of State is carrying out a scholarship scheme that is outside the Ministry of Education,
it's extremely difficult to be able to capture the successes, the challenges that are in the field. The way government run is that the Ministry of Education is sitting in Monrovia, but you have district education officer, you have county education officers that are on the ground in those counties, that when you pick up the phone and call them right now, they can tell you exactly how many students are in what school, what successes, the females, their challenges they have. They can explain all of that to you. It is through a mechanism that you're able to collect reports from in the counties that filter straight into the Ministry of Education. They can report on it. How is to be able to capture that kind of reporting?
Mr. Kromah, can any citizen or any official of government decide to run a scholarship scheme? And if they do so, would they be in violation of any law?
Any citizens from anywhere can launch a scholarship scheme. That is purely accepted. When you become a public official, and you are receiving public money, the taxes that we pay, you're receiving that as your pay, and you're receiving that to fly out of the country, to ride private car, to do all that beautiful things that you're doing as a public official, you have some limitation to the things that you can do and the things that you cannot do. As a public official, you just read two components of the Constitution that bars a public official from doing certain things. When you see Senator Prince Johnson and Thomas Fowler and Sir Joseph erecting these huge buildings all around the country and claiming to be
we'll come to that.
Okay, all right. So we'll deal with that one later on.
Yeah, we'll come to that. So there is this scholarship program.
The point I'm driving here is that any citizen can launch a scholarship scheme and be able to do it and do it effectively. But when you become a minister of state, and if the government is going to launch a scholarship scheme, let it be the government scholarship scheme and not the minister, Nathaniel Fallow McGill. Because when you do that, you drive a conflict between you as an individual and the office that you serve.
So the concern there is the conflict that it creates.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, let me come to you, Anthony Garmondeh.
Can I respond? Okay.
Let me come to you, Anthony Garmondeh. I want to know, because earlier when you were speaking, you said Mr. McGill said, you were quoting him, that he got friends. So I'm curious, when and how does McGill get these friends out of his solings with a very deep pockets? Because we know the McGill that we're talking about. These friends were not giving him these huge amounts for scholarship, right? Until he became Minister of Presidential Affairs. And they were just there, and their pockets were just deep, and they're giving him money. And you don't think that constitutes conflict of interest?
Well, I mean, it's difficult to even answer that question because we don't know the specifics of who. I mean, we don't have the donor list, so we don't know. So when you're saying that, you're saying
you said that his
so much specifics that you don't have. You don't have all that information that we don't know. Of course, I have friends, right? If I
but McGill said his friends, right?
The minister just said that he had received funding from friends. Yeah.
Do you understand why he has those friends that have those deep pockets now? Do you know why? It's
a difficult thing. I know you're trying to tie his because it's Islam state or because
he occupies a position.
Absolutely.
He occupies a position in which he's in the position, all right, to trade favor to them for whatever they will give to his scholarship.
No, but then you're speculating, right?
I'm not speculating. I'm just telling you the fact.
Speculation. That's speculation. For you to say that, then you must be able to provide evidence to say X, Y, and Z provided this scholarship, and we have information that the minister has been able to do X, Y, and Z favor for them. We don't have that information, so you cannot go and speculating with that.
So is it impossible? Is it impossible?
It is not impossible, but it's in the reality.
So Garmondeh,
right? But Maurice, let me respond to you. Maurice made some points I wanted to respond to.
No, we still have questions for you. And Maurice, let me start with you. My question to you is there anything legally wrong, or you are looking at the moral side of this argument? Is it wrong legally, according to our laws, for Minister McGill to preside over the president's scholarship program?
Yes, I just read 9.1 of the Code of Conduct, which is about
bribes and gifts. I don't think this constitutes bribe and gifts.
So casual gift is captured in the Code of Conduct.
Yeah, but those are not gifts given to McGill.
But that's what the minister said. I'm not taking it out of my head. The minister said that he received gifts from his friends that it has allowed him to launch this scholarship scheme. I'm quoting him. I'm not saying that I'm saying it. He said it. He said he received gifts. And my friend Garmondeh has also said that. He said Minister McGill has friends, and some of the friends are in the diaspora, and those friends have given money to Minister McGill. So how can you say that it is not casual gift?
No, but let's correct.
Hold on. Attorney,
I'm quoting Minister McGill. He said, I received gifts from Mita Steel, and you said that he claimed that he got some friends in the diaspora and other places that have given him money to run this scholarship scheme. So if he's receiving gifts to run a scholarship scheme, then that is that not constituting casual gift? Why are you guys trying to change this whole definition of casual gift? That's the meaning, right? You can be receiving public money as salary. You can be receiving public money as salary and be doing revenue collection on the side there. That is illegal. You'll go to jail for it. So Mr. McGill said that casual gift. That casual gift.
Thank you, Mr. Clinton. You said you don't have the donor list for this scholarship program. Don't you think that's the problem?
Come again. What's the question?
You know, when you were speaking, you said we don't have the donor list for the scholarship program. So if you don't have the donor list, if the donor list is not public,
you're misquoting me. I'm saying we, meaning we on this program don't have the donor list.
The public.
Right?
The list of the donors.
That is not to say that list cannot be available from the people who are in charge of the scholarship.
No, I'm saying it's not available to the public.
I didn't say that. I said we don't have it on this forum right now. I didn't say it was not available to the public. There are people who are running the scholarship scheme, right? And this is the misconception that we need to correct. And Morris is trying to look. He's trying to misinform you. The minister did not say. I have not said on this forum that Minister McGill received gifts, right? So I have said that funds have been contributed to a scholarship scheme. And this is to your point, Dennis, when you're asking about violation of the Code of Conduct, you didn't see gift. He said, no, Minister McGill said this. No. I have not said on this forum that Minister McGill received gift. I have said, and I explicitly explained the process. I said that there are committees, local committees that are set up in the counties, right? The money, there is a bank account set up. There are people who are supervising this thing. The minister has no oversight on it. He has no involvement. I said his only role has been to reach out to individuals. There is no violation of the Code of Conduct. I said that before because he's not receiving a gift.
Garmondeh.
Hold on, Morris.
Morris, how come you say? So I mean, I said this in clarity. Because Murray cannot find a violation based on our princess talking about bribes and gifts, he's trying to say now the minister say. I did not hear the minister say it, and I have not said on this platform that the minister receiving gifts. I said the minister said he has friends that he's reached out to. He's reached out to private companies, Metal Steel, Winners. Those companies have contributed to the scholarship scheme. They've not provided any money to the minister, and there's no violation on the Code of Conduct.
Thank you, Mr. Clinton. My second question is, private and public, you are saying, you are talking about the president, you're talking about the presidential affairs minister, and you say this is not a public program, it's private. I want you to define that. When you say it's private, it's not public, what does that mean?
It is public. If it is public if this is money that was appropriated. And thank you for that question, because this brings me to Morris' point when he says that the minister is somehow taking on the function of the Ministry of Education. And this is, I wanted to point you to Chapter 12 of the executive law, but we kept going around. And this is, let me show you what the function is of the Minister of Education under the executive law.
You want to respond to that public and private first?
Yeah. I mean, you won't do Ministry of State. You're not worried about Ministry of Education. You won't do anything to a function of Ministry of State. But go ahead to
no, but I'm trying to bring you to the point, right?
Please answer the
It
question.
is not. I'm trying to say that the Minister of State is not in any way, right, taking on any function of the Minister of Education. Because
that would mean
you're just making a whole scene about making you start to talk. So let me talk now. Right, let me talk now. Yeah, let me talk. Right, allow me to answer.
Yeah, you talk about the public and private. I want you to
that's the question I'm answering, right?
Okay.
It is not public because public scholarship funds will be those that are named on article or section 26 26, right? Point 2 of the executive law. If you can find it, right? 26.2E of the new executive law says, I want to read that for you, right? The Minister of Education shall administer funds appropriated by the government for financial assistance to individual students for study home abroad, right? So if the Minister of State was taking money or was managing money that was appropriated by the government of Liberia,
you are trying to confuse us and you will not succeed. You have to answer that question, and I will restate the question for you.
Absolutely,
hold on, Garmondeh, hold on.
I'm telling you that this is not public.
Hold on, please.
But allow me to answer the question. This is not public.
You will be given a chance, please.
Because it is not public, because it's not public money as designated under the executive law. Right? It is not appropriate. It's not money appropriated by government to be a minister by the Ministry of Education. So it's not public.
It's not
public money. It's not taxpayers' money.
It is not public money.
No, it's not taxpayers' money.
All right, then let me ask this question. All right, and I'm going to take you to that article again, which is the it is from the Code of Conduct, 9.6. Use of office for private interest. No public official or employee of government shall use any office position to pursue private interest that may result in a conflict of interest. Because what we see here is a public official soliciting money from private individuals to carry on a function that we know will benefit him politically. Your response. How is that not conflict of interest?
That is not conflict of interest, because conflict of interest is defined. I want you to, if you could put back that article right now so we can see it again.
Okay, go ahead.
Right? There's one important thing that you're missing, right? Mm-hmm. And it is a result. Mm-hmm. The action of the public official must result in a conflict of interest. In this case, there is no conflict of interest because the very Code of Conduct defined what conflict of interest is. And this you can find in section 1.3.6 of the Code of Conduct.
Okay.
Right? Find section 1.3 of the Code of Conduct. It will tell you that.
And yeah, it is.
Okay. Conflict of interest is when a public official, contrary to his official obligations and duty to act for the benefit of the public, exploits a relationship for personal benefit.
I agree with that, and that is what he's doing.
So there is no conflict of interest.
That is why he's doing
personal benefit. Who are the beneficiaries of this
You know how he's doing it? You know how he's doing it? They are giving this huge scholarship.
But where is the personal benefit?
Who will be of voting age and are of voting age now, so that when election comes, they will remember the president and Nathaniel McGill and vote for the CDC.
That's not what personal benefit is. Political benefits are not. You're talking about political benefits. Anytime a public official asks, the government. Let me respond, Morris. Let me respond.
Garmondeh has resorted
Morris, let me respond that.
Every single phrase now.
Morris, the definition. I'm not making a definition. These definitions are within the very laws.
Let him learn, Morris. You can come in. Let him learn.
Right. I'm using the law right here. This is what the Code of Conduct. That's how the Code of Conduct defines conflict of interest. It's a personal benefit. That's not personal benefit. You're talking about, right? Will there be political? There are possibility of there being political benefit, of course. When the president instructs the Minister of Health to distribute drugs, Are there political benefits that come to the president, even though he's using taxpayer money? Of course, there are political benefits. And then a government acts, and then a public official acts, there's a likelihood of political benefit. That's not what the conflict, the code of conduct is contemplating. It is talking about personal benefit. It is talking about some personal, financial, or proprietary gains that goes to the individual. We don't have it in this case. The beneficiary of this scholarship scheme are students. It is not the Minister of State or his family or associates that are benefiting. There's absolutely no personal benefit.
False generosity. False generosity. So,
that is not a violation of the law either.
So no. I mean, we already talked about this. I'm glad that you and Anthony went back and forth about it, because it's not like me. It's not like I'm understanding it one way and Anthony understanding it the same way. But somehow you have a whole different interpretation of the law, because both of us quote the same law and we agree on the terms of what it says. But somehow you say conflict of interest means one thing and you define it in the law. But the law, I agree with that. But when the men say personal benefit, you want to define what personal benefit is for Nathaniel McGill. Nathaniel McGill.
But that's not what personal benefit is for Nathaniel McGill.
Hold on, Chief. I'll give you a chance. So you have, a minister of state that's saying to himself that, well, I have a responsibility to this president here. My loyalty lies with the president. And so if 2023 election is coming up, if I cannot demonstrate that loyalty by doing something using this office authority, then I'm not loyal at all. So let me demonstrate that. And the way to demonstrate it is to target young people that are vulnerable, that have the most need in the country, that demonstrate all the different economic challenges, to say, let's create an opportunity for them to go to school. We pay them, we pay their fees, and somehow they will return our favor to us somehow. It's pay for play, my brother. Whether you go or become that, this is clear demonstration of ethical breach. A clear demonstration, and this is not politics. This is we have to hold our officials accountable. And the only way we can hold them accountable is to point these errors out to them. Mr. McGill himself know in his conscience. Even you, my brother, sitting there, you know.
No, absolutely not. I have just proven through the laws that there is no conflict of interest. You're trying to insist on conflict of interest when the law says it's not conflict of interest. You are trying to ascribe a definition to personal benefit that is not personal benefit. Just 1 second, Anthony. Personal benefit means there has to be some personal, financial, or proprietary gain to the individual. In this case, there is none. Right? There is absolutely none that goes to Minister McGill.
No, but Garmondeh, you cannot conveniently define what personal benefit is in this.
But what is the definition of personal? What are that?
Gentlemen, thank you. We have to leave it there and go to the next issue.
Financial or proprietary benefit. I'm saying no.
Gentlemen, please, we have to leave it there.
Hold on, Mr. Because I want to ask one final question. And that will go to both of them. Let me start with Mr. Kromah. Let me start with Mr. Clinton first. Mr. Clinton, if we had a budgetary appropriation under Presidential Affairs Minister has for scholarship, will you find that has public money? Will you find it to be a problem?
If the money was
if there's a budget line under Presidential Affairs Ministry for scholarship program, would that be a problem?
I would think so, because that money should go to the Ministry of Education that has the responsibility to do that, right? And but again, we don't have that same situation. Yeah, we have the Ministry of Education that, and Maurice don't want to admit this. It has its budget. It has its whole program that is operating. And the minister is not in any way interfering with that. It's not going to the Ministry of Education budget and taking money and giving the scholarship to people. He's going outside of that process, right? So yes. I can't find the conflict.
Yeah, I don't have the budget before me, but I think if I remember quite well, there is a budget line item under there that went very high for 20, but if I find it, if I have time to check that up, I will find that and show it to you.
Okay.
Which is on, Dennis? Which one is that? Is it about stationery something?
No, scholarship for under the Presidential Affairs Minister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there should be a line item there that went astronomically up in 2022. Yeah, if Then my question for you to you, Mr. Morris, is I don't think you've been able to prove the legal wrongdoing, right? Because when you say the Mr. McGill is doing this so that it will benefit the president politically, so that people in Nimba to get result, I think this is our assumption. How can I'm not saying you're a lawyer, but how will you prove that in court?
No, Dennis. So forget about the end result of what the scholarship scheme will do after the process is done. Forget about that completely. I presented to you an argument about the ministers usurping his function as Minister of State, and I tied that to the whole social contract. But I also, besides that, I quoted to you the Code of Conduct 9.1. Garmondeh quoted 9.6. 9.1 and 9.6 are almost similar, that stop the minister from doing what he's doing. If Garmondeh claims that the minister money that he's raising is outside of the budgeting process, it creates a conflict because he's collecting money that cannot be accounted for. There's no way we can account for the money that he's collecting. So he's conveniently using the office that he's operating in to do what he's doing, which is illegal under the framework, that the Code of Conduct framework is illegal. He shouldn't be doing that. So there is a clear definition of casual gift. I explained what casual gift is. And so if the minister is taking anything above $200, at least according to the Code of Conduct, and using it to say he's launching a scholarship scheme, it is not a government initiative. At least that's what Garmondeh argued. Garmondeh said it's not a government initiative. It is a Minister McGill initiative. And if it is Minister McGill initiative, then it is an illegal process, because the function of the Ministry of State is not to operate a scholarship. It's to manage the presidency. That scholarship operation should go directly to the Ministry of Education. If the Ministry of Education were the one saying, we have budgetary constraints, and so we didn't have the correct appropriation for this budget year. As a result, we are reaching out to some of our partners, UNDP, whatever international organizations, so they can help us to launch this massive scholarship scheme for young, people that are disadvantaged. We'll go straight in our corner and we'll sit down quietly and watch the process. But when you have the Minister of State using his office to do such initiative, then yes, it's illegal. It's out of the wood. It's completely out of. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. Seriously, we should not.
So what's about the issue of intent?
It's difficult to define intent because I don't know what's in his head. So Garmondeh can't tell me, say this is what the minister intend to do, because I'm not buying to that. But
what they are saying, those who are on the McGill side saying the end justify the means. If the minister, if students in Grand Bassa County are sitting on the floor, or they are not being able to get to school because there's no money, and the minister or the president through the Minister of Internal Affairs or Presidential Affairs providing the money, what's the harm in that? Somebody is getting help, somebody is getting an education, so the intent is good.
Then there's a way government provides education for its citizens. That is mainly through the Ministry of Education.
Absolutely.
Why couldn't this whole thing be placed under education? I mean, we will not be here, right? But here's the issue I want to speak to, right?
No,
allow me to respond to Morris before you go.
Because to the if the issue is channel, the issue is the channel through which the president is sending it, or the issue here is the end result.
So it's the issue of the conflict,
the process. So when you have there is
you are not answering the question. You are not debating.
But let me Morris talk. Let me answer. Let me respond to Morris, please.
No, Garmondeh, wait. Dennis asked a question, and I want to answer that. So the way government operate, it is through some sort of coordinated process. So when you look at, for example, security is not just left with the Ministry of Justice. For example, there are several other institutions that include that security sector, right? You have the judiciary, you have all these people that are coordinating with each other. You have the immigration, you have police, you have the Ministry of Justice, you have NSA, all these people that are coordinating within that sector. So when you say, government is supposed to provide security, technically for us that are citizens, we look at one institution directly to figure out what that security means to us. Does it mean that when I go to I can walk from the store to come to my house freely without somebody harassing me? If somebody harass me along the way, if somebody harass me along the way, do I have the access to security to call somebody to come and protect me as security? If I'm in my house, if somebody break in my house, what does that mean? Who do I call? That security aspect is only left with us to call the police. But there are other players that are within the sector. Same with education. So we can sit down and say Ministry of Education is the one that is coordinating educational activities. However, there are other players within the education sector. So for you to be able to capture and envision how education should work in Liberia, we have to work through the Ministry of Education. If Minister McGill don't do that, if he take on the part of that responsibility, then he usurping the function of that entire sector that include higher education, it include tertiary and primary education, and TVET, and all these other people that are inside the sector. You see what I'm saying? But we can't play politics with it. It's not something to play politics with. This is a serious matter, especially in the midst of massive student failure in the country when it comes to these national public exams. We need to take it seriously. This is a serious challenge to us.
Can I?
Thank you. Garmondeh, could this scholarship program be done differently? Could it be done through the Ministry of Education instead?
The Ministry of Education has an appropriation for that. If you look at the national budget, the Ministry
I'm not saying whether there's no appropriation. So there's appropriation for scholarship under the Ministry of Education.
There is.
So why can't we channel all this through there? Why presidential affairs?
There is nothing wrong with you doing it on a presidential affairs. The Ministry of Education statutory responsibility.
What is wrong doing it? All of it under Ministry of Education.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with it, with doing everything under Ministry of Education. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the Minister of State doing it on his own. And that's the point. There is absolutely nothing wrong. You cannot, the word my friend have used several times here tonight is usurpation. When you use the word usurpation, there are two things. You are talking, one, you're saying that the minister's action is illegal, is forceful. None of these is happening, right? Because you cannot, I'm a lawyer, and when you say there is a violation under the law, you must be able to say what the violation is. You must be able to say what the violation is under the law. Morris has not been able to say this today. You cannot say the minister usurped the Ministry of Education power when you cannot say precisely under the law what power of the Ministry of Education that the Minister of State has usurped. I provided to you and read to you under the Executive Law 26.2 E of the Executive Laws that says that the function of the Minister of Education is to administer public money that is being appropriated under the national budget. What the Minister of State is doing is not taking, he's not taking that money and managing it. So you cannot use the word usurpation.
So my friend, this is the last time I'll say this, so that at least we can move on from it, because it seems like we're repeating each other. The minister taking money that is outside of the budgeting process, that all of us, none of us here know how much Minister McGill has collected.
But let me correct you. You cannot provide right information. The minister is not taking money. I've said this over, and we got to stop for Morris from saying it. The minister is not taking money. I've explained the process. Why Morris keeps saying that the minister is taking money? The minister is not taking money. He's not receiving the money.
Okay, but you told us on this platform that it is a Minister McGill initiative, right?
He's not. It is an initiative. Does not mean he's taking money. It is an initiative means that, and I've said how he's using how he's taking money.
Garmondeh, let him finish, because taking money, you are defining a different way.
Yeah, you bring
taking money doesn't mean you have to hold it in your hand.
Nuances. You're above that. You are a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but man,
there has to be control. You're also insinuating control. I'm saying there's no control over the monies.
Just give me a chance to say what I want to say, Chief. At this point, I know it's a little uncomfortable, but let me see what I want to say. Yeah. So the minister is spearheading a process that is outside of the budgeting process. That's the first illegal process right there. The first make it illegal is the fact that he's collecting money outside of the budgeting process. None of us know how much money that is being collected on this initiative. None of us know where the money coming from. With all the money laundering that's happening all around the world, who knows if somebody is putting money into that kind of initiative to clean the money up and make themselves legal in Liberia? Who knows? We don't know, right? So government in itself has a mechanism by which money is collected and reported through the central bank and comes back out of the central bank to the Ministry of Finance and go to these different ministries and agencies for allocations of operations. We have our big brother, the Minister of State, who said, no, if people need education assistance, I want to help. But for him to help, he wants to be able to, manage that process himself. He could have done the same thing that he did, but saying, you know what, everything you'll do, you'll go to Ministry of Education. You got a statutory institution responsible for coordinating education. You'll go to them and let them manage that process for us. At the end of the day, let them come and report to the Liberian people what they have done. That would have been very easy. None of us would have made noise about it. But because this is completely illegal and unethical, we have to raise the red flag and say, listen, put some step on this thing, Mr. McGill. Don't overuse the power that you have. You are the Minister of State. You are the one managing the president. But you shouldn't be here running scholarship in Bon County, Grand Bassa, Margibi, and Nimba. Those are big counties. We understand it. We know elections are coming up. We understand that part. But even if you want to do political thing, make sure you're doing it the right way so that people don't make noise about it.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you. And Anthony, Garmondeh.
Yeah. Once before,
hold on, Anthony.
May I ask my question?
Mm-hmm.
Nathaniel McGill, if he were not occupying that public office, the Minister of Presidential Affairs, do you think he will be in a position to do business or solicit funding or funds from the businesses that are doing business with the government of Liberia? Do you think he will be able to get that much money from these businesses?
I will not speculate, and I don't want to speculate on what the minister could have done in his private capacity if he was not minister. What I would argue, and I've argued tonight, that there is nothing under the law that prohibits that. There is nothing under the law that prohibits the minister from using his office to ask businesses to contribute to a scholarship scheme, so long there is no personal benefit, there is no financial gain.
Do you understand that Nathaniel McGill,
that the minister can go and ask people to donate to a project, right?
Yeah.
And because he is not benefiting personally, but as a minister, these people are not going to refuse because they are doing business with government. Do you see that?
No, but that is not true, right? That is not true. That is not true. Several times businesses, that's not true, because I know several times businesses and have refused to give money to the government. If they don't have the money, they don't. There is no compulsion. This is a voluntary process. There is no compulsion. There is no undue influence on the businesses to do that, right? And and again, let's come back to the law, because when Morris keeps saying that it is illegal, when you keep using the word illegal, he's not even saying that. When you say illegal,
you are the only lawyer here, so you gotta say
you gotta say, when you say illegal, you gotta prove the violation of the law.
Right.
But I keep using illegal, but you can say the violation of the law. That's not
right. So you are the only lawyer, so we can't argue with you on the basis of the law. But that undue influence, if I'm the government and I come to you, I said donate to my scholarship program, what is that telling you? Pay to play, right?
But that's not what play to play.
Sing my song.
But let me tell you what play to play is, right? This is where pay to play is.
No, right? you are kind of trying to induce that.
Define the word for after that.
But let me give you some examples, right? Let me give you some examples.
Don't give me an example. Talk about the ethics, because even when President Trump here in America became president, there are certain things he's not supposed to do. Even his own businesses, you can't invite people to your hotel because you are president. People want to come to you, and all these little things. I don't know the legal.
Exactly. But things, right? you just brought me to the point I was trying to raise. This is what Trump was blasted for when they talk about pay to play, right? Normally in America, right, the law allows businesses to give money, as much money they can give to these political action committees.
Right.
And that is not regarded as pay for play, because you know what?
Those are political action committees.
Right, but let me land. Political action committees. What happened is the candidate do not have anything to do with the money, right? The only thing the political actions committee can use the money for the re-election or election of the candidate, right? But the candidate having absolutely nothing to do with the money. So the law allowed them to provide as much money as they want to go. In Trump's case, that process was being bypassed. That you have all these huge businesses that were paying money to with buying membership in his golf club, and that became the subject of a debate because why? When you buy memberships and benefit from Trump, the Trump Mar-a-Lago or whatever, it was benefit. It was money that Trump had direct control over, unlike giving money to the super PAC. So now bring it to the Liberian situation. When Minister McGill uses his office, when Minister McGill asks these companies to provide money to a scholarship scheme that he has no oversight over.
Why are you stressing this oversight? We got to move on to the next issue.
The money is not given to him. He has no oversight over the money. That's not paid to play.
We have to move on to the next issue, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not paid to play. There is no paid to play. Why are we looking for paid to play?
We'll move on to the next issue, and quickly we're going to open the phone lines. But let's move on to let's move on to the next issue. And Mr. Sia, please take the lead on that one.
Thank you, Dennis. And we have to take a break before we move to the next issue. So we take a break and we'll be right back.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
And I am Anthony C, co-hosting in this Friday night debate here at Focus on Liberia. We have Anthony Garmondeh Clayton, and they call him the perfect manager, Maurice Kromah, debating two issues, and we are about to start issue number one. Gentlemen, for issue number two. Issue number two is government officials having businesses while they serve in government, especially for those who are doing businesses in the very area or sector in which they occupy in the government. For example, the Minister of Education, we are told, has a school that he runs. We are also told the Minister of Health has a health care center while she serves as Minister of Health. What is going on here? Are they in the wrong? Is this conflict of interest? Are they doing things that we don't know? On this issue, we will have Mr. Maurice Kromah go first with his opening argument.
Anthony, for the opportunity. So it comes right back to the same argument that I've been making. I think it's unethical. There's a reason why public officials are not supposed to engage in private businesses. It takes away a lot from the function that you do. So, for example, it's not just the Minister of Education and the Minister of Health. The Deputy Minister of Education also have a school. The Deputy Minister of Education has a school. There are several lawmakers that have, erected these big buildings all around the country, claiming that they are educational sectors. And what they're doing is that once they develop these institutions, they influence the legislature to target monies, that public money that come from, the public through taxes, to go towards those institutions that they built and call them school or call them health centers. So, for example, the schools, what they do is they say, my district will put 200 students on scholarship. South Joseph, for example, will say that. And then the 200 students that go on scholarship, he identifies them and send them to South Joseph High School or whatever the school name is. The Minister of Health, for example, is able to influence some of the services that come through the Ministry of Health that goes directly to her health center, because she makes decision on which health institutions that get support from government, because she's at the highest level of health. She's sitting as the head of the health sector in the country. So she's able to influence what kind of service that go directly to her private institution. So those are some of the fundamental reasons why people say declare your asset before you take public office, so that we know what you have, what you don't have, and so that when you get into public office, you don't influence things for your personal benefit. But it seems like it's a culture now. So when we see Minister McGill doing it, it's only emboldened because everybody else doing it, and the president don't care about whether it's it's a problem or not. It's all across the government now. It's a common theme.
Right. Thank you. Weah, Anthony, your opening argument.
Look, again, I like to rely on the laws, right? There are laws in every country. There are things that may be illegal in the U.S., but those things may not be illegal in Liberia. That's just the laws vary from country to country. In Liberia, right, in places like America, where they require when somebody is going to be president of the U.S. that you have to put all your properties and stuff in the blind trust before you become president. We don't have that law in Liberia, right? There is not that law in Liberia. What the law in Liberia requires is that you are supposed to make those declarations upon taking office. Before you take your office, you're supposed to declare your assets, right? That's the only thing the law requires. It does not stop public officials from engaging in private business. It says that they should declare their assets. And it goes further to say in the code of conduct that it is only a conflict if they do not make those interests known, or if they participate in decisions that are going to benefit those personal interests. So the Minister of Education, for instance, there's nothing that prohibits the Minister of Education from owning a school. What the Minister of Education, once he declared that he has a school, he cannot participate directly in a decision that is going to impact that school. That's what the law requires. And so I look forward to see what other legal violations, instead of just saying this illegal, we are going to point to another law. But again, let's continue the debate and see how it unfolds.
Mr. Clinton, can something be legal but not ethical? Can we have something like real legal but not ethical?
Possible. It's possible. For instance, we have for instance, you have slavery. Was for slavery, was it wrong morally? No, but was it legal? Yeah. So it is possible. It's possibility.
No, let's go back to Liberia. I don't want us to go. I mean, so in Liberia, can this behavior be unethical yet legal?
They are now unethical on our code of conduct.
Can it be immoral yet legal?
It's possible.
Do you find them immoral? Some of them.
I personally don't see anything wrong. For instance, with the minister raising scholarship money for students that benefits students, thousands of struggling students. I think that's nobody can be,
Dennis, can I just say something? My friend Garmondeh, quotes the law and said that the only barrier to a minister having a private business is that you don't sit over a decision that affects that business. Well, guess what? The Minister of Education is sitting over a business of education. He allocates money, public money, to particular schools and institutions. It's not just the Minister of Education. I'm picking on the Minister of Education. I'm picking on the fact that we've allowed our public officials to engage in these private business ventures that have made them rich people in the country at the detriment of the people. So you have all these, ministers and lawmakers that have built these institutions that make decisions. I mean, for example, the lawmakers example, they allocate resources to different schools and different institutions. And they factor in their institution that they have, their private institution that they have. And so those money go directly to them. So they benefit directly the money. So they get public money and they also get private money. Same as the Minister of Education, that is the Minister of Education, the Deputy Minister of Education, and the Health Minister. So they're doing the same thing. It's practically unethical. And he knows that the law he just quoted, it clearly breached the decision that they make at the highest level. But he's saying here, you quote the law and say, well, The only barrier is they shouldn't sit over decisions that affect them.
And he knows very well they will sit. So Mr. Kromah, some are arguing that those people have those businesses before coming to government. Like, for instance, the health minister had her drugstore or the hospital. The agriculture minister was selling her rice before the president appointed. So what are you saying?
That is
Should
true.
they
So that is true. But in that case, when you declare your asset, you say, I have this asset in a real organized governance structure. Technically, they're not supposed to sit on a particular board of directors. They're not supposed to be able to have any kind of decision making in certain areas because they own those properties, and those properties come in conflict with the role that they play in government. In technical terms. So even with the lawmakers, the same law apply. They shouldn't be able to sit in appropriation meeting because they have those personal properties that could, influence the decisions that they make. However, in Liberia, it doesn't seem to apply.
But Morris, I just said that. I don't know. I just said exactly the same thing, and you said I just said the same thing. I said the law does not prohibit them from owning this business. Said that they should not participate in the decision. That's just what I just said.
But they are participating in the decision, and you
but
still
the fact
don't
that they're participating in the decision. But I said what the law said. I'm not saying those actions are not taking place. I said this is what the law says.
And you don't find anything wrong with that.
No, I didn't say there is nothing wrong. I mean, let's follow what we're saying. I did not say there is nothing wrong with the Minister of Education or Minister of Health having a business and presiding or participating in decisions that affect that business.
All right, let's bring in our first caller.
Is that they should not participate in our business.
Let's bring in our first caller. Caller, your name and where you're calling from, and we only want you to be very brief, 1 minute max. Go ahead. Your name and where you're calling from. Oh, sorry. Caller, go ahead. Your name and where you're calling from.
Thank you, Mr. Jai, and thank you, Mr. Asonis here, and good evening to the panelists. I am not a lawyer for disclaimer's sake, but here is why I know. And I will put on my prosecutorial mind and hat tonight because I've been following a lot of legal cases, so maybe I can say something that will make a legal sense.
Your name, please.
There is a reason why my name is Anthony Gay, calling from Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. There's the thing. There's a reason why when you are occupying a public office, you are scrutinized because it's a public office and taxpayer dollars are being paid to you. You don't use that office to solicit anything like my job. I don't take any gift that is $200 plus. I cannot accept it unless I want to lose my job. If I do, I will lose my job. It's in my handbook. Yes, well, Minister Mange made a big mistake and incriminated himself. These things are only happening in Liberia because our lawmaker has permitted it to happen. If I were in the Senate today, I would raise a motion for him to be summoned and also take it to an impeachment offense. Yes, where he made a mistake. The article 9.6 that was read clearly states where he went wrong. Once you set it in that office, any money that you solicit, and guess what they are telling us? I'm public official, but I can do private business while holding it. You cannot do two things at the same time. It doesn't matter. Two things cannot occupy the same space.
Thank you, Anthony.
Here. So, Mr. Anthony Clinton, if you don't see this is wrong, then ethically, let me take the ethical principle to that effect. We have the ethical grievance committee in the House of Senate. These guys need to pick up this case.
Thank you.
This is a serious matter.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks for having
You want me to respond to that?
No, just hold your thought. Let me bring in one more caller here. That's Ansu Opa Dualu. Ansu, you're live.
Thank you so much, guys. It's a great show. Look, let me say something to Mr. Clinton. Mr. Clinton may want to preach law, but I don't think he fully understands when it comes to the code of conduct. The code of conduct is not just from ethics. Okay, you have to take the code of conduct in totality. The intent of the code of conduct is very simple. It's to make sure whoever holds a government position, whatever they do does not contravene the interest of the state. It's far beyond any declaration, whether somebody exposes the asset, etc. The code of conduct is very vast. The intent is very simple. You cannot hold a government position, and you use any option, anything whatsoever that puts you in a position that disadvantages the state and everybody else in that country. Mr. Clinton must understand that. If he's talking about law, he's outside of the law. If he's talking about ethics, he's outside of ethics. The code of conduct is bigger than that. He needs to understand that. Do not stand behind some law.
Thank you. The next one is Robert Glickman Gagua Jr. 1 minute, Robert.
Thank you. Look, I'm enjoying this dialogue, and I think but I'll give you 30 seconds. Look, so my friend Morris, I think Morris has a great point to make, but I think the premise of his argument was weak and lazy to many extent. You can't argue legality with regards to the setup of this scholarship. What I will argue is that I believe even if George Weah or the Minister of State wanted to do this should be done and operated independent of the government. It shouldn't be ran by the Minister of State, and for many reasons. But there's nothing illegal to what is happening here. And with regards to the code of conduct, it's deeper than the law. And I think my friend Clinton has to go, look deeper into that. But just specifically on the argument that Morris laid, I think he should have done better than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take Oliver. Your name and where you calling from? I see Oliver.
My name is Oliver from New York, calling from New York.
Your phone line is not really clear. Can you make some adjustment? Your phone line is not clear, Oliver. Oliver, your line is not clear. I'm not hearing you clearly.
Yeah, then let's not take another person.
Yeah, my line is clear. I'm listening to everything, but there's a point delay. So because of that, because the other people
You shouldn't be listening to that. Just turn it off and then you talk quickly. You have 30 seconds.
I'm listening to what the problem is. But however, yes, okay. I don't know how to turn it up because I'm on contract also when it's so I don't know. Okay, now it's
Dennis, can we make progress?
Oh, you are still talking. Go ahead. All right. Mr. Clinton, you can respond. Mr. Clinton, go ahead. It's part of the show. Go ahead, respond. Let it go.
Yeah, thank you. Look, let me start with the first caller. Look, I know this is a very, very hard button issue. A lot of people will want you to contribute and be sentimental about it, but the law is the law, and we as a country operate within the confines of those laws, right? There is absolutely nowhere in the code of conduct that prohibits the Minister of State from raising scholarship money. There is no illegality here, right? So for this action of the minister to be illegal, right, to be in violation of the code of conduct, there must be some personal benefit that goes to the minister. In this case, there has to be a conflict. And a conflict, as we define it under the code of conduct, the public official must act contrary to the public interest. You can't find any kind of error against the public when you're providing monies to students to go to school, right? There is no error to the society. It is, as a matter of fact, it is for the public good. When you provide money to students to go to school.
Let me stop you there because Robin Hood was doing the same thing, right?
But Robin Hood, but this is not Robin Hood. Robin Hood is breaking the law. Robin Hood was breaking the law.
You keep emphasizing. You are emphasizing the latter part, right? We say it's for public good. It's for public good. You can get money illegally or through unethical means and still use it for good. So I don't want you to emphasize that point.
But let's what look, what does the core of conduct says when it comes to conflict of interest? That's
No,
why
you can
should
say
put
that.
out the script of the argument
I was just
is,
pinpointing
right?
the public good.
So yeah, but the law says that the law says if Minister McGill was receiving money, was going to Maurice Kromah and say, Mr. Kromah, I need money, I need to pay, I'm scaling a scholarship fund for me and my family, my associates. Can you give me money for that? Right? That is personal benefit to him.
Seriously?
That is personal benefit to him.
You want to make it that simplistic?
In this case, that is benefit to him. In this case,
you are a lawyer, Garmondeh. You can't be serious with this interpretation, my man.
No, but you tell me what interpretation is. There is no personal benefit. You can't argue. There is no two-way benefit. There is no personal benefit of the minister.
Let me bring in.
You're trying to push a political benefit argument, but if you push that argument, then any action of the government, any action of public official, there is political benefit to it. So that argument really doesn't work.
Right. Let me get Oliver. Can we try again?
Yeah, thank you so much because I'm now on the Facebook, so I'm only on the phone right now.
Go ahead.
What I was saying, Mr. What do you call it, Dennis, and also was saying something that I would try to understand. Okay, let's say Mr. Guy and also Mr. Sears. If you understand, you guys are doing very well as support all of the doing brothers and sisters with colors and all of that. Are you going to tell me that because when you go home tomorrow, you will elect up for election because of what I was saying? Because my girl is giving funds to other scholarship students. But as you understand, most of the funds that used to go to Liberia for other scholarship students, all of that, it used to go out to other people that were no benefit at all. That's the reason why the gentleman is saying that it's not a bad thing because the propo or also the opportunity that's supposed to be given to the Liberian brothers and sisters, the government, the brothers and sisters who the higher authority have to look up there, look down there to be able to give the opportunity to the brothers and sisters. So you guys saying that because they are in the government, they're not supposed to give somebody scholarship, and the Minister of Agriculture, and Minister or whatever they have, they're supposed to give the opportunity to the other brothers and sisters that in Liberia and the other people that are supposed to have that opportunity. So what you guys think?
Thank you.
The opportunity that you're giving the other brothers and sisters from here, scholarship, food, and everything. So you're telling me tomorrow we're going to Liberia or election we're going to be asking for?
Thank you. Morris, please mark that down. The way we hear now, if we get scholarship, when we go to Liberia and start running for superintendent of Sino, that's going to be a problem, right? There's a caller here, say Advocates Incorporated. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Darlene Weah. I'm calling from Worcester, Massachusetts.
All right, Darlene.
Yeah, the issue of the code of conduct, I think since the inception of this Weah-led government, the code of conduct was thrown in some back room and it does not really exist. Because Weah came to power in less than 2 months, he acquired a private jet for his friend, claiming that it was given to him to police Iran. That was the very beginning of this Union Act that included the Code of Conduct has. The Code of Conduct also says that every single government official, especially those that have to go through confirmatory hearing, you get their access. That is yet to be done. We don't know how much the guy had. We don't know how much they have. We don't know how much they're going to be living with. We have no clue. So when it comes to Mr. McGill going to solicit money and this guy in studio calling his dad, I don't know what kind of law he read.
Darling, stop that.
So if code of conduct it says public official, you cannot be a public official and solicit any form of favor whatsoever outside of your office. It is unethical. It is illegal. You don't do that.
Thank you.
Why did he do that when you're walking about him or why did he go to Jetty or Medasi to collect money? Why as a public official? It is unethical. It is illegal. Thank you.
Thank you. And darling, before you go, you made a comment here. I want to put you on the spot. You are a very regular listener here, and we appreciate your comments. You were telling me, you said, yeah, there is something called budgetary allotment in the national budget. You sound like an illiterate man. You know I'm not illiterate, darling. Why you say that?
I said that because you were trying to back the argument. You were trying to back the argument that McGill going to solicit money. It was not an issue because you were doing it in the interest of the people. So that's why I came to say no, it's wrong because that's why
darling,
the government want to pass the budget.
Darling,
so if McGill and
darling,
people want to do something,
yeah, I got that. I'm asking questions. I should be able to ask both sides of the argument, the debaters, so as to bring out their point. Do you find anything wrong with that?
You were not asking questions. You made a statement. It was not a question. I remember vividly.
All right.
And I accepted that.
All right. Thank you. No, I got your point. Thank you. You made yourself clear. Thank you. The last caller here is 614 area code. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Sam. I'm calling from Australia. How you guys doing there?
Sam from Australia. Sam, what's your phone name?
Pardon?
What's your phone name, sir?
Sam Josiah.
Sam Josiah, welcome. Go ahead, your point, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to make this recommendation because if you look at our brother in there, the Anthony, these are some of the lawyers that sometimes get people confused. Because when it comes to the code of conduct, the reason why they put that restriction in the clause, because they know for the fact you're in that position, you got influence. The reason why McGill can get the gifts because of his position. So please, I want to recommend, when you guys having this kind of debate, thanks to my brother there, Morris is doing a very good job. He struck some good points that if this guy defending this, can you guys please have another Anthony Alon, another lawyer, that we can get one person on the other side, another person on the opposite side? Because even in my job that I do here, I'm not allowed to take gift from a client that is above $200, and I need to report that gift. Even below $200, I need to report it to my office before I can take it.
Thank you.
It's a policy, it's a law.
Thank you.
For everyone in the company. So if this guy is telling us that Mr. McGill, there's no law there, there's a code of conduct that restricts him from doing that. So can you guys please come with another lawyer, sometime that has the same legal mind, like this guy, that will find some other law that will be able to counter-argue his, because he's confusing her. When he going, according to the law, he know ethically it is wrong. But he keep using the term, according to the law, according to the law, according to the law. So we are not lawyers. So we need people that will go deeper along with this guy to be able to give us counter-argument in the law, because he keep using the law, the law, the law.
Thank you.
And then to my brother, I just want to say thank you. You struck a very good point. And I just want to say this one thing, my brother. I think it is wrong for budget allotment to be given to the executive to be implementing projects in our country. That is the reason why you got all the other ministries are not functioning. It is better when the government wants, the executive want to do any project. I would recommend, let the president say, I use executive order, that the Ministry of Education should give 500 scholarships out, and it should be equally distributed among the counties. That would be traced, and that would be better. Compared to the president just saying, the Minister of State, I give this, I give that. Then what you get a Minister of Education for?
Thank you, Sam.
If the president giving all those scholarships out there. So thanks for the time, my brother.
Thank you so much. You're calling all the way from Australia. Mr. Sear.
Yeah, Dennis, thank you. I think we are out of time. We will go to our debaters to get their closing arguments, and we'll call it a day. So, gentlemen.
Yeah, before that letter, Morris there were some questions directed at him by the callers.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one comment that came our way. I know the guy that was, I don't know, Darling or something, was saying that it was okay for if somebody like us going back to Liberia to work. It means
no, that was Oliver.
Okay, Oliver. Okay.
Darling was the guy who said I'm illiterate.
Okay, all right. But I mean, ideally, this is why we need to continue to have these kinds of conversations so that our people can understand how government works. There's nothing wrong with giving out scholarship. Absolutely nothing. It's actually a good thing. We need to create an opportunity for less fortunate people to have access to education, and they should have access to education in very good schools. Before the crisis, I'm sure my brother Dennis Jha will agree with me that some of the public schools in Liberia were some of the best schools in the country. We can't say that same thing today. So if the minister is serious about reaching out to his friends to help in the education sector, maybe we should collect money and improve the quality of education in public education, so that our kids that are going to public schools can have the same quality of education that a kid goes to, Cathedral or BW Harris or wherever school they go to.
Monrovia College, man. Why are you calling those schools?
The same quality of education. Is it Monrovia College? Is it Monrovia College?
Yeah, that's what you should call first. Thank you.
Now y'all the people balling like, bro.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for
but thank you guys. As Anthony said, we'll go around the room now for your closing comments or closing argument. Maurice, let's start with you this time. Garmondeh went first.
Okay, so I want to say thank you again to Garmondeh. Garmondeh is a good friend. We've had these kinds of exchanges so many times behind the scenes in our little chat room. He and I can debate. We can call each other on the phone and argue on the phone. But he's have a great deal of respect for him. Thank you for the opportunity, as always, to have this kind of civil conversation regarding our country. All of us want to see the country move forward. Some of us want to see it done the right way, and so we checkmate some of our people, whether in the opposition or in government. We try to checkmate them most times. And thank you, Dennis, you and Anthony, for the opportunity to bring us together to have this conversation online for our people to pay attention to some of these things. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to the next discussion, whatever time that contravene our laws. We'll call Garmondeh again and call him to check. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anthony. Garmondeh Clinton.
Let me first thank you, the host, for the opportunity again, and my good friend Maurice Kromah. He already, said a lot about, what we do this all the time, even of big platform like this. But just to sum up everything, I see a lot of sentiments. But again, the law is a law, and we have a law that governs the behavior and the conduct of public officials, and that is the code of conduct for public officials. And there is nothing on that law that prohibits a minister of government from acting for the public good so long it does not benefit them personally, in this case with the scholarship scheme. 9.6 of that code of conduct said that officials of government should not solicit bribes, they should not solicit gifts. And to the point of some of the callers who call and say, we have even our jobs, we have code that say we cannot get, gifts over $200. You are right. Because this code of conduct of Liberia said that public officials cannot receive gifts or bribes, right? But the argument tonight is what the Minister of State is doing does not qualify as gifts under the code of conduct, because he's not receiving whatever money he's asking for. He's asking people to contribute to a scholarship scheme that he has no control over, that has been managed by a local authority, which has oversight over that money, and there is absolutely legally wrong with him doing that. And so I understand the sentiments, but again, the law. The second thing we talk about tonight is whether there is any law that states that public officials should not run private businesses. Of course, again, now what the law requires is that they have to declare those private interests when they do their asset declarations. And if there are decisions that are going to directly impact those personal interests, they are to recuse themselves from participating in those decisions. That is the law. There is no two ways about it. You can argue about how it's done in America and in Europe, but the law in Liberia is clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Seer.
Dennis, thank you. And we want to say a very big thank you to our debaters. I know it got heated. There were a little bit interruption here and there. Sometimes it makes the debate spicy. So overall, you guys performed. I think you represented Liberia. The more we have these kind of intellectual exchanges, we will be leading the way as to how to debate the issues that we disagree on in our community. That is the goal of Focus on Liberia, to educate, to elevate the discussion, and to promote all things Liberia. Gentlemen, thank you for representing yourselves and your family in Liberia tonight, and you did it. We want to say congratulations. We will not give the result tonight. Let the public decide who the winner actually is. Well, this is how we'll come to the end of the debate. I will send it over to Dennis Jai to close us.
Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we'll have Honorable Tiawanse, or Councillor Tiawanse Gonglo, right here on Focus on Liberia to tell us why he's running. Until then, we want to say thank you so much for coming, gentlemen, and our viewers. Thanks for watching. Always here at Focus on Liberia, we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberian. We never close a broadcast without playing the song that says, we are all Liberians. Whether you believe what McGill is doing is ethical or unethical, we are all Liberians. And we must do everything to make our country that glorious land of liberty. Have a good night.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.